All right, Chapter 1, Section 1, Variables and Expressions. And in this chapter section, we're going to do two things. We are going to take an algebraic expression and make a verbal expression out of it. And then also we're going to be given verbal expressions that we turn into algebraic expressions. And we're going to start here with writing verbal expressions. And I'm taking this from the guided practice in example 1. This is on page 5 of your textbook. So let's have a go at it here. So we've been given this 16u squared minus 3. And so we're going to turn this into a verbal expression. Now, one thing I want us to note right here as we get started, we see this term right here. Actually, the full term is 16u squared, but I'm focusing on the variable u, and we see that it is raised to the power of 2. And the u is what we would call our base, and the 2 is our exponent. That's not going to really necessarily come directly into play in what we're getting ready to do here, but it's something that we need to know. Anytime we see a term, whether it be a number or a variable, raised to a power, you have a base and you have an exponent. And actually what that means is with u squared, it is u times u, or u squared. So let's turn this expression though into get this out of the way, into a verbal expression. And so I could say then that this is 16 times u, I could say raised to the power of 2 or squared. I'm going to just say squared, u squared. And then I got a subtraction sign. I'm going to say minus 3. All right, cool enough. Let's look at the next one. This one's a little bit more complex. I got 1/2 a. All right, well, that looks like a mess, doesn't it? But let's make a verbal expression out of this. Let's take this first term here on the left, and I can say this is 1/2 of a. All right, well then I got an addition sign there. So I can then say plus, let's say there's many words I could use. I could use sum, plus, addition, added to. You'll notice in your notes in your key concept box, increase by, different things that we can use for the various operations, mathematical operations. Now let's get to this second term, which is actually 2 terms in one. I got 6b over 7. Okay, 1/2 of a plus, let's do this a fancy way, the product of 6 times b all right, that takes care of the numerator part of that. And then it's over 7. I can just then say divided by 7. Okay, now one of the things that you're going to discover here is there's many different ways we can say this. There's not necessarily an absolute exact answer. In other words, there's different ways of saying the same thing that can be acceptable. The main thing that you're trying to think about is you're looking at each term in the expression, looking at any mathematical operation that's contained in it, like the negative and the plus, the minus and the plus, and then you write it as such. All right. Okie dokie. Well, now we're being asked to write an expression or write an algebraic expression, and I'm pulling this from example 2 in your textbook on page 6. This is the guided practice. And so we've got two requests they're making of us. This first one is asking us to write an algebraic expression for the product of P and 6. When I see this word product, I know it's going to have something to do with multiplication. I've got a variable here, P, and then I have a constant or a number, 6. And this one's actually pretty simple. The product of P and 6, in other words, that's the same thing as P times 6, or I can just say 6P, because that represents 6 times P. When we're dealing with addition and multiplication, it doesn't matter the order in which we put things, such as this. I mean, we could say P6, but the more common, more acceptable way of writing that is 6P. Now, on the other hand, when you're dealing with division and subtraction, you cannot reverse the order. You've got to stay in the order within that particular operation. All right, so now we got this next one over here. 1/3 the area A. 1/3 the area A. Now, you might say, well, what's the area, what's A? What it's really asking us is to write an expression for 1/3 the area, and then it has really defined the variable for us. It's saying here that area equals A. And so if I'm going to do 1/3 the area A, that's just simply, and that's 1/3 A. And I've done it. Okay, not too bad. You'll get some practice in here. Mathematics is about practice. There is absolutely no substitute for practice if you're trying to learn math. Let's get to practicing.